More than 2,000 years ago, in a small corner of the ancient world, a journey began that would change the destiny of humanity forever. In the dusty villages of Galilee, among fishermen, farmers, and ordinary people struggling through daily life, a man began to walk from town to town with a message unlike any the world had ever heard. His name was Jesus of Nazareth. To some, he was simply a teacher. To others, he was a prophet sent by God. But to the sick, the broken, the blind, and the hopeless, he became something far greater. He became the healer of souls and bodies. Wherever Jesus went, crowds followed him, not only because of his teachings, but because of the miracles that flowed from his compassion. The sick were restored, the blind received their sight, the weak stood up with strength. And as word spread across the land, people began to whisper a question that would echo through history.
That is the teacher from Nazareth, the one who heals the sick.
Could this man truly be the promised Messiah? As Jesus traveled through Galilee, the news of his miracles spread like wildfire. Villages that had once been quiet suddenly filled with excitement whenever he approached. People began bringing their sick relatives to him from miles away.
Please help my son. He has been sick from anything.
The blind were led by the hand through crowded streets. The crippled were carried on mats. The weak leaned on family members as they struggled forward with hope in their hearts. Many had suffered for years. Doctors had failed them, remedies had not worked, and hope had slowly faded from their lives. But when they heard that Jesus was coming, something changed. A spark of faith began to rise again, and one by one, they came to him. In ancient Israel, few people lived a life more painful than a leper. Leprosy was not only a terrible disease, it was a sentence of isolation. Those who had it were forced to live outside the community. They were considered unclean. No one could touch them. Families were separated. Friends disappeared. Loneliness became their daily companion. One day, a leper heard about Jesus. With courage that surprised even himself, he approached the teacher from Nazareth and fell to his knees. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." The crowd gasped. No one expected what Jesus would do next. Instead of stepping back, Jesus stepped forward and he touched the man. For years, no one had dared to touch that man, but Jesus was not afraid. Looking into the leper's eyes with compassion, he spoke softly. In that moment, something extraordinary happened.
I'm willing. Be clean.
The disease vanished. The damaged skin was restored. Strength returned to the man's body. For the first time in years, he was whole again.
Blessed and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. My children, have faith.
Not all miracles happened in open fields. Some happened inside crowded homes where people gathered to hear Jesus teach. One day, a house in Capernaum was so full that no one else could enter. But outside the house were 4 friends carrying a man who could not walk. The paralytic had spent his life trapped in his own body. He had no strength in his legs, but his friends had something powerful: faith. Unable to get through the crowd, they climbed onto the roof of the house. Carefully, they opened a hole in the ceiling. Then they lowered the paralyzed man down, directly in front of Jesus. Turning to the paralytic, Jesus spoke words that would transform his life forever. "Rise, take up your mat and walk." For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the man moved. Strength flowed into muscles that had never worked before. His legs straightened. His feet touched the ground. And suddenly, the man who had once been carried everywhere stood up. The crowd erupted with amazement. Among the many who sought Jesus was a woman whose suffering had lasted for 12 long years. She had a medical condition that doctors could not cure. She had spent everything she had trying to find healing, but nothing had worked. Weak and exhausted, she heard about Jesus. She believed that if she could only touch him, she might be healed. One day, when Jesus was surrounded by a large crowd, she quietly pushed her way forward. Her heart pounded. Her hands trembled, and when she finally reached him, she touched the edge of his robe. The moment she touched his garment, something incredible happened. Strength returned to her body. The sickness disappeared. She knew instantly that she had been healed. But at the same moment, Jesus stopped walking. Turning to the crowd, he asked a surprising question.
Who touched me?
The disciples were confused. Everyone was pressing against him. But Jesus knew that something special had taken place. Someone had touched him with faith. Slowly, the woman stepped forward and fell before him. Trembling, she told her story, and Jesus smiled gently. "Daughter, your faith has made you well." Another day, Jesus encountered a man who had never seen the world. Blind since birth, the man lived in darkness. He had never seen the sky, never seen the faces of loved ones, never seen the beauty of creation. Jesus approached him and placed his hands upon the man's eyes. Then he spoke words of healing.
What do you want me to do for you? Lord, I want to see.
Moments later, the man blinked. Light flooded into his vision. Shapes appeared. Colors filled the world. For the first time in his life, he could see. Wherever Jesus traveled, miracles followed. The deaf began to hear. The crippled began to walk. The weak regained their strength. People who had lost hope discovered that their stories were not over. But beyond the miracles, something even deeper was happening. Jesus was revealing the heart of God, a heart filled with mercy, compassion, and love. Not all suffering was physical. Some people were tormented by spiritual darkness. One man, overwhelmed by evil forces, terrified everyone in his village. Chains could not hold him.
No, stay back! Ah! Help me, please! No, stay back!
Peace, be still.
Ah! Ah!
Fear surrounded him, but when Jesus arrived, everything changed. With a single command, Jesus confronted the darkness, and the darkness fled. The man who had once lived in torment now sat peacefully at the feet of Jesus, free at last. One of the most powerful moments in Jesus' healing ministry happened inside the home of a grieving family. A young girl had died. Her parents were devastated. Mourners filled the house. But Jesus stepped into the room and spoke words that seemed impossible. He took the girl's hand and said gently,
Little girl, arise.
Life returned. The room filled with awe. Death itself had been defeated. Yet the healing miracles were not the final purpose of his mission. They were signs, signs pointing to something greater. Jesus came not only to heal bodies, but to restore humanity's relationship with God. Through his teachings, his compassion, and ultimately his sacrifice, he opened the way for salvation. The healing ministry of Jesus did not end in Galilee. Its impact spread across the world. Through generations of believers, the message of hope, faith, and restoration continues. Today, millions still call upon his name, millions still believe in his power to heal, and millions still find hope in the same truth that transformed lives 2,000 years ago. Jesus is still the healer. Thank you for watching Bible Tune Tales. If this video blessed you, subscribe for more powerful biblical journeys, hidden mysteries of Scripture, and inspiring stories of faith. Until next time, stay blessed.